Hello, my name is Evan Kuster, and I'm here to teach you how to create eggshell molds using Materialize's magics and basically mesh data from MRIs or CAT scans. And so in this case, I'm going to go and get my model here, bring it into magics. So here we have as our vasculature system. We zoom in real closely, we can see there's some tiny little imperfections in this mesh. And so the very first thing we're going to do is go up and fix it. And so go to Diagnosis, Update, and then Fix. And this is just going to basically make the mesh as nice and clean as possible. The nicer your mesh is, the easier it is to work with. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And so the first step, and just so you can see, is I'm going to take a cross section. So the very first step we're going to do here is we're just going to take that shell and copy it. So Control V, Control C, and that should copy your file. So over on the right hand side here you can see we now have two objects, and I'm going to just go ahead and hide one. And so let's take this first object here. We're going to go and call this the interior shell. And so there's a nice tool up in the toolbar menu called Hollow Part. We're going to just go ahead and hollow the part. I like to use a wall thickness of 0.5 millimeter or 0.5 millimeters with a detail size of about 2 millimeters. We don't need that much data on the inside of the mold. Remember, this is going to be the destroyed part, so this part will never touch silicone. So any of the data loss that I'm about to do will not affect the final part. So I'm also going to make sure the smoothen core is checked to allow easier cleaning later. That basically just makes sure you have a nice smooth interior wall surface. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And so in a few seconds here, we now have basically the first shell of our part. So this will be the interior shell. This inside here, this low res inside shell, will of course never touch silicone, so it's alright if it's a little triangulated. And so now that that's done, that's basically our interior shell. We're done there. I'm going to go ahead and just hide that and show our next part. So now we're going to make the interior or the exterior of our eggshell. This is a little bit more tricky. The buttons aren't as fine-tuned as just a hollow part button. And so I've been able to get the best results by going in and of course then just making sure. I'm not quite 100% sure if I fixed that. Alright, so it's fixed. So the next step is I normally go to Tools, Fix Wizard, Normals, and then I invert this part because the next tool only offsets or only creates thickness in the directions of the normals, and you can't switch them, so I have to switch them using the Fix Wizard. And so I close that, go to Tools, Surface to Solid. Now I'm using this command instead of offset because I have a detail size button, which allows me to control some of the issues that will arise if you just use the offset, or could arise if you just use the offset. My shell thickness in this case is going to be, so I'm now creating the cavity in which I'm going to fill with silicone. And so I'm going to make it a 3 millimeter offset, and my detail size can stay around 1 millimeter. And so I'm going to click OK. That should offset this part very quickly here. And that's all right. The surfaces cannot be connected automatically. It's just because they are two perfect shells. So as we look in here now, we have basically two shells. The interior shell, this one, we're going to delete. We were just using that as a base model to get the offset. And this is the offset shell. And so, for instance, this base model in here we already have as the original hollowed part. And so they occupy the same space. And so once I unhide that, I'm just going to delete that. And then, so now I'm left with an external shell. So here we go. The model's starting to come along. We have what we can see is two distinct volumes. This interior volume, and then this little volume here between the inner and outer shells. Now the issue is our exterior shell has no wall thickness yet, so it's just going to print solid. And so I'm yet again going to use the Surface to Solid tool, but again, because it only offsets in one direction, I'm going to have to go back, uncheck that, make sure I'm not working on it, go to Fix Wizard, Normals, Invert Part. And so now we've got a nice inverted shell on the outside. Now I'm then going to go to Tools, Surface to Solid. Now this time I'm going to have another eggshell, so I'm creating the exterior eggshell. Wall thickness of 0.5 millimeter, and my detail size can also be about 1 millimeter because on the external side of stuff we're not worried about any of that data. And so it should offset. We'll probably get another one of those warnings. Yep, surfaces cannot be connected automatically. This is totally fine. Just click OK. And so now we have an eggshell. And so basically the way this works is the next step is you're going to then add vents and sprues wherever best you think geometry can add, like wherever best you have oriented your part and then where you think the air bubbles may catch. In this case I have not done yet, I will just pause the video here, but the idea is to fill this middle cavity here with silicone, and then you'll later break it off. And so you will also need to add some vents for draining resin out later, or draining any of your materials out. This internal cavity here, let me click on it. Hang on, nope, not selected. This internal cavity here will be full of resin if you are printing an SLA. And so you'll need to put some drain holes in there, both for cleaning the resin out and then flushing it with alcohol or any other solvents you'd like to use. And then you'll also need to add sprues to this cavity in here. Oop, still not selected, there we are. You'll need to add a sprue and vents for this cavity in here as well. And that's where your silicone will be going, and so you'll need to add proper numbers of vents and sprues in order to have a good mold. And that is the rough idea of how to make an eggshell using Materializes Magics and any kind of scan data you have. Thank you, and have a nice day.